The year my wife, Elena, finally secured that residency position in Metro City, it came with a specific perk: a family sponsorship. It meant her spouse and child could move with her and get legal status. Everyone we knew just assumed she would give that spot to me and our son. We had been married for 5 years, and she had always talked about getting our boy into the best schools in the city. However, on the day the official list was published, the family members listed under her residency were her ex-husband and his son. His kid was about to apply for college, and according to Elena, he needed the residency status much more urgently than I did. Our son, Ben, was only in elementary school, she argued. Waiting a few more years wouldn't make a difference for him. So, instead of the sponsorship, she handed me an application form for the points-based residency program. She promised me that as soon as her ex's son was done with his college applications, she would sort out my paperwork. But 6 months later, I moved to Paris with my son. The next time we spoke, Elena saw my son's French passport and completely lost it. She asked how I could possibly not wait for her, screaming that we were supposed to be a family. I first saw the residency sponsorship list during my lunch break at the office. A guy I worked with had dropped the link into our group chat, adding a message congratulating Elena on finally landing that government job. I clicked on the link and read through the names carefully, going from top to bottom. Then I read them from bottom to top, just to be sure. In the column where the sponsored family members were supposed to be, 2 names were printed clearly: Greg Miller and Josh Miller. That was Elena's ex-husband and his son. My son, Ben, wasn't on the list. I wasn't on the list either. I felt the blood rushing up to my head, and my ears started to ring. I grabbed my phone, walked quickly out of the office, and ducked into the stairwell to call Elena. The phone rang for a long time before she finally answered. It was loud on her end, lots of people talking, and I could hear someone shouting, "Congratulations, Elena," in the background. "Hello, Mark, what's up? I'm kind of busy right now," Elena said, her voice sounding impatient. "Elena, I have a question for you," I said. "What is going on with the residency list?" She paused. "What do you mean? It was approved. I'm celebrating with my colleagues." "I'm asking you why Greg and his son are listed as your sponsored family." I couldn't keep my voice down, and it echoed off the concrete walls of the empty stairwell. The line went quiet for a few seconds. "Lower your voice. What are you yelling about?" she hissed. "I'll explain it to you later." "Explain it to me now," I said. "Are you telling me you aren't getting residency for me and our son?" "There you go again," she said, her impatience turning into annoyance. "Didn't I tell you Greg's son, Josh, is about to apply to college? This residency is the most important thing for him right now. It could affect his whole future." "And what about my son?" I asked. "Is Ben not your son anymore? Is he never going to go to school?" "Ben is just in elementary school. What is the big deal about waiting a few years?" she said. "Can't you be a little more reasonable and understand what's actually important?" I was so angry I actually laughed. "Important? So in your mind, your ex-husband's son is more important than our son, is that it?" "Why are you being so irrational?" she asked. "Greg and I are over. I'm just helping him out for old time's sake. Besides, I'm doing this for Josh. He's such a good student. It would be a tragedy if he couldn't get into a good university just because of his residency status." "A tragedy?" I said. "Elena, you begged me to marry you, promising you'd give me and our child a better life. The best educational opportunities for Ben. Is this what you meant by the best? Giving my son's spot to your ex-husband's kid?" "When did I say I wouldn't get you residency?" She started to backtrack. "I already got you the application for the points-based program. As soon as Josh's college applications are in, I'll immediately file for you two." "It's all planned out, isn't it?" I said. "The points-based program? Elena, do you have any idea how long that waitlist is? We'll be waiting forever. You have a family sponsorship slot right now, ready to go." But this is a special circumstance, she said. Can't you be a little considerate? I work so hard out there for this family. Can't you just give me a break? Give you a break? I said. You're out on the town with your ex and his son celebrating your wonderful new life while I'm at home trying to explain to our child why his mother doesn't want him anymore. What kind of nonsense are you talking about? She demanded. When did I ever say I don't want Ben? Your actions speak louder than your words. I heard a man's voice in the background ask, Elena, who is it? Come on, it's time to cut the cake. It was Greg. Elena's tone immediately softened, as if she was trying to calm me down while also keeping him happy. Okay, I'm really busy. I can't talk anymore. Stop overthinking things. I'll explain everything when I get home tonight. With that, she hung up on me. I stood there in the stairwell, my phone buzzing with the disconnected line, feeling cold all over. I had been ignoring the warning signs for 5 years, and I finally realized how bad things were. I didn't go home. I took a cab straight to my mother-in-law's apartment. If Elena wasn't going to tell me the truth, her mother definitely knew what was going on. When I got there, my mother-in-law was sitting in the living room, eating sunflower seeds and watching TV, looking cheerful. When she saw me, her smile faded a little bit. Mark? What are you doing here at this hour? Aren't you supposed to be at work? I'm here to ask about the residency, Mom, I said, getting straight to the point. My mother-in-law spit out a seed shell and spoke slowly. Oh, that. Didn't Elena tell you? She told me she's giving the spot to Greg's son because he's applying to college. Well, there you have it, she said, pulling the tray of seeds closer to herself. Elena already explained it to you. Why are you running over here to ask me? Her attitude was so matter-of-fact, without a trace of guilt. The anger in my stomach burned even hotter. Mom, Ben is your grandson. Who is Josh? What does he have to do with our family? Why should he get to take my son's spot? What kind of talk is that? Take? My mother-in-law said, her eyes getting wide. Elena gave it to him willingly. Besides, that Josh is a pitiable child. Grew up without a mother, and it's not easy for Greg to raise him all by himself. Shouldn't we help them out? Are we running a charity? I asked. Our own lives are a mess, and we're supposed to feel sorry for others? Mom, don't forget Greg is Elena's ex-husband. His son has absolutely no blood relation to our family. Blood? That's all you ever think about, my mother-in-law said, slamming the seed tray on the table. Elena feels guilty and wants to make it up to them. What's wrong with that? As her husband, can't you be a little more gracious? Do you have to make a huge scene over such a small thing and turn the whole family upside down? A small thing? I said. Mom, this is about my son's entire future. You call that a small thing? How is it about his entire future? Ben is just a kid. What's the problem with waiting a couple of years for his residency? Is it going to ruin him? You're just selfish, only thinking about yourself and your son. You never think about Elena. I'm selfish, I said. I've been married to her for 5 years, crammed into a tiny 500-square-foot rental. And when have you ever heard me complain? I saved every penny, never even bought myself new clothes, and put all that money toward her part-time master's degree and all her certifications. And for what? For this day? I waited forever for her to finally make it. And what's the first thing she does? She turns around and gives the biggest prize to someone else. How dare you say that? My mother-in-law stood up, pointing her finger at my face. The money you spent was all earned by my daughter. She feeds you, she clothes you, isn't that enough? Now you think you can dictate her life choices? Let me tell you something, Mark. Elena runs this house. What she decides goes. Your job is to just go along with it. Just then, the door opened. Elena was back, her face red from drinking. When she saw me, her expression got dark. Mark, what are you doing here making a scene? My mother-in-law rushed over to her as if she'd found her savior. Daughter, you're back. Look at this husband of yours. I tried to reason with him, but he just wouldn't listen. He keeps saying you've wronged him, that our family has wronged him, making a huge fuss over a residency spot. Elena looked at me, her face looking exhausted. Can you just stop it? I was celebrating with my colleagues. It's important for work. But you? First you call and yell at me, and now you're here yelling at my mom. What is it you really want? What do I want? I asked. Elena, I just want what belongs to my son. I told you it's temporary. As soon as Josh's college applications are done, it'll be your turn. Why won't you listen? I don't believe you, I said, staring at her. I need a straight answer from you today. Are you going to change the names on the sponsorship or not? She probably felt like she was losing face, especially in front of her mother. I said no, and I mean no. It's already been decided. Making a scene won't change anything. Fine, Elena, I said. You said it. I looked at her, then at her mother standing beside her, and spoke very clearly. You're going to regret this. Regret it? Let me tell you, Mark, the best thing I ever did was help Josh. The thing I regret most is marrying you in the first place. My mother-in-law chimed in. Exactly. He brings you no luck at all, just dead weight holding you back. Watching the two of them, a mother-daughter team singing the same tune, the last bit of care I had left vanished. I didn't argue anymore. I just turned and walked away. Behind me, I heard Elena's annoyed voice. Where are you going now? Don't be crazy, it's late. I didn't look back. Crazy? Yes, I was crazy. But my madness was just getting started. I went back to our tiny rental apartment. The place was small and cluttered, feeling tight and uncomfortable. Ben was already asleep, his little body curled up on the bed, sleeping soundly. I sat on the edge of the bed watching his peaceful face, my stomach twisting in knots. Why should the son I had poured my entire life into raising have to step aside for some stranger? Elena made it sound so simple. Just wait a few years. But the city's policies changed every day. Who knew what things would be like in a few years? What if she just threw up her hands and said it was impossible? Then my son and I would be tied to her in this city forever. Permanent outsiders. No, I absolutely could not let that happen. I opened my laptop and started doing research. Immigration, moving abroad, studying overseas. As I went through the information, my path became clearer and clearer. Paris. My close friend Dave had moved there on a skilled worker visa a couple of years ago. He said the environment was great, the benefits were good, and it was especially friendly to children. I found his contact info and gave him a video call. He was surprised to see me. Mark, what's up? Why the sudden call? I didn't waste time. I told him everything about Elena and the residency situation. He was furious. Is this woman out of her mind? She has her own son but wants to raise her exes. And you're a fool for putting up with her. Why are you still with a woman like that? I'm planning to divorce her, I said calmly. I wanted to ask you, is it realistic for me to emigrate to Paris with my son? Dave paused, his expression turning serious. Mark, have you really thought this through? This is a huge deal. I've never been more sure of anything, I said, looking at his face on the screen. I can't let Ben's future be ruined by Elena, and I can't keep wasting my own life like this. Dave was quiet for a moment, then nodded. All right. Since you've made up your mind, I support you. I'll talk to the immigration consultant I used and see what the fastest way is for your situation. Money isn't an issue, I said. I own a small apartment that my parents bought for me before I got married. It wasn't big, but in our hometown, it was worth a good $100,000. That was my leverage. Okay, I'll get in touch with them as soon as possible, Dave said. But what about your end? Are you just going to tell her straight up? No, I said, shaking my head. If I tell her now, she'll definitely try to stop me. I need to get everything sorted out before I let her know. I needed time. I needed to be left alone. The next day, Elena didn't come home. She sent a text saying her mom was sick from the stress I'd caused, and she had to stay with her at the hospital. At the end of the message, she called me a heartless jerk for not even sparing an old woman. I looked at the text without feeling anything. Perfect. With her out of the house, it would be even easier for me to get things done. I immediately contacted a real estate agent in my hometown and asked them to sell my apartment. I had only one condition: a full cash offer as quickly as possible. Then I requested a long leave of absence from work, citing a family emergency. I took Ben and went back to my hometown. My parents were furious after I told them what happened. That horrible woman. We never should have let you marry her. My dad immediately wanted to call Elena and give her a piece of his mind. I stopped him. Dad, don't. Yelling at her won't do any good. It'll just make her suspicious. Right now, I need your help. I laid out my entire plan. My dad listened, silent for a long time, and then let out a deep sigh. All right. Since you've decided, your mom and I support you. If you need more money, we'll help you pull it together. It's enough, Dad, I said. Selling the apartment will be enough. In the following days, I focused entirely on the immigration preparations, contacting the consultant, gathering documents, getting all the necessary paperwork for Ben. Everything was done in secret. Elena would call occasionally, her tone still nasty, demanding to know why I wasn't back yet, and asking if I was trying to destroy our family. I would just say calmly that my dad wasn't feeling well, and I needed to stay and take care of him for a few more days. She didn't press further, probably thinking I'd run home to Mommy and Daddy and couldn't stir up any real trouble. All her energy was focused on waiting on her mother and sucking up to Greg and his son. That was exactly what I wanted. The more she ignored us, the more smoothly my plan progressed. I watched as the immigration application moved forward step by step. I watched as the sales contract for the apartment was signed. I watched the numbers in my bank account go up. I knew that freedom for me and Ben was close. A month later, the money from the sale of the apartment was in my account. I also got good news from the immigration consultant. My initial application had been approved, and I could soon move on to the next stage. Everything was happening faster than I could have imagined. I took Ben and returned to Metro City. Elena had moved back into the rental from her mom's place. She didn't look happy to see me. So you decided to come back? I thought you died back in your hometown. My dad's feeling better, so I came back, I said calmly, putting my things away. She probably thought I'd surrendered because her attitude softened a bit. Don't hold a grudge against my mom. That's just how she is. In a couple of days, buy her something nice, come with me to see her, and apologize. We can put this all behind us. I didn't say anything. The thought of me apologizing was laughable. By the way, did you fill out the application for the points-based residency? She asked. Fill it out and submit it. The sooner you get in line, the better. I took the crumpled application form out of my bag, smoothed it out, and placed it in front of her. I don't know how to fill it out. You do it for me. She looked at my obedient behavior, very satisfied. Fine. Leave it. I'll take care of it in the next few days. She thought I had given up. She thought that as long as she dangled a vague, distant promise in front of me, I would go back to being the same devoted, uncomplaining good husband who managed the household. She had no idea that all my compliance was just an act to lower her guard. For the next few weeks, I played the part of the perfect, sorry husband. I cooked dinner and waited for her to come home every day. When she complained about how hard work was, I'd give her shoulder and back massages. When she talked about how hard Greg's son Josh was studying and how much potential he had, I just listened quietly. My submissiveness made Elena drop her guard completely. She started staying out more and more, sometimes saying it was overtime at work, other times that she was with clients. But most of the time, I knew she was at Greg's place. Greg seemed to be enjoying this arrangement too. He frequently posted vague, suggestive things on his social media feed. A picture of a lavish dinner captioned, "The familiar taste, so good." Or a picture taken from the passenger seat showing a corner of the steering wheel with the parking permit from Elena's company. He was provoking me. My coworkers saw it too, and some of them tiptoed around the subject with me. I would just smile. She's busy with work, a lot of socializing. Everyone thought I was weak, pathetic. Only I knew what I was waiting for. I was waiting for an opportunity, a chance to get myself and Ben out of this swamp for good. The opportunity came soon enough. The immigration consultant notified me that my medical exams and interview were passed. All I had to do was wait for the final visa stamp, and we could leave. At the same time, Elena got news that she was being sent on a month-long business trip to a branch office in another city. Before she left, she handed me the filled-out residency application. "I've already submitted it for you, so just wait patiently. While I'm gone this month, you take good care of Ben, and don't cause any more trouble for me." She patted my cheek like you would a pet. I nodded and gave her a gentle smile. "I know. Have a safe trip." She walked out dragging her suitcase full of ambition. She thought she was heading off to build her career, to return to a life where she could have it all. She had no idea that when she left, she would never be able to come back to this home again. The day after she left, I received our passports with the French visas affixed inside. I immediately booked tickets for a flight to Paris 3 days later. I didn't go to work to resign in person. I just sent a text to my boss. I sold off every piece of furniture and every appliance we owned. I cleaned the rental apartment that had been my prison for 5 years, until it was spotless, leaving no trace that we had ever lived there. I packed only 2 suitcases. One held clothes for me and Ben, the other held all my savings and our official documents. On the day of our departure, I dressed Ben in a new tracksuit. "Ben, Dad's taking you to a really fun place, okay?" "More fun than the amusement park?" he asked, tilting his head up at me. "Yes, more fun than the amusement park. We're going to a big, big house with sunshine and a grassy lawn, and no one will ever bully us again." He nodded, not quite understanding, and happily took my hand. Standing at the airport's floor-to-ceiling windows, I watched the planes taking off and landing. My phone rang. It was Elena. I silenced it and didn't answer. I knew she was just calling to check up on me, to ask what her son and I were doing. I imagined the look on her face when she returned in a month to an empty apartment. It was going to be spectacular. I took Ben's hand and walked toward the boarding gate. "Ladies and gentlemen, the flight to Paris is now boarding." The clear voice of the announcer echoed through the terminal. I glanced back one last time at the city where I had lived for 5 years. Goodbye, Elena. Goodbye to the miserable first half of my life. The plane landed at Paris International Airport. The moment I stepped out of the cabin and took my first breath of fresh, clean air, I felt my entire body relax. Dave was already waiting for us at the exit. He gave me a huge hug. "Welcome to the new world, Mark." He had arranged everything for me, rented an apartment, contacted a school for Ben. My new life started more smoothly than I had imagined. Ben was incredibly adaptable. The diverse environment at his school helped him make new friends quickly. Back home, he had always been a little timid. Elena's constant neglect and my mother-in-law's constant criticism had taken a toll on him. But here he smiled more and more, and his confidence grew every day. As for me, after getting us settled, I started planning my own future. I signed up for a language class and began looking into small business opportunities. I got a new French phone number. Unable to reach me, Elena could only send me messages on WhatsApp. She started to sense something was wrong on the 3rd day of her trip. "Mark, where are you? Why aren't you answering your phone? I called your parents and they said you took Ben and went back to your hometown. What are you trying to pull now?" "I'm warning you. Get your ass back here right now." Did you sell everything in the apartment? Mark, are you insane? I didn't reply to a single message. A month later, she returned from her business trip. She sent me a video. In the video was our empty rental apartment. Her voice in the recording was a shriek. Mark, where the hell are you? You emptied my home. You just wait! Immediately after, a WhatsApp call came from my mother-in-law. I answered, Mark, you awful man. You took all the money and ran, didn't you? My daughter's hard-earned money. Where did you take it? You get yourself back here right now. Mom, that was money from the sale of my premarital property. It has nothing to do with your family, I said coolly. You bastard! Where did you take Ben? He's our grandson. You bring him back. Ben's last name is Miller now. Wait, no, his last name is my name, Johnson. He has nothing to do with your family anymore. With that, I hung up. They started frantically messaging and calling me. I set all their numbers to silent. Occasionally, I would glance at their messages to see what new insults they'd come up with. It was just the usual venomous curses and useless rage. Elena even went to my hometown. My parents, as I had instructed, just told her they didn't know anything and couldn't contact me. They couldn't find me, and they couldn't find Ben. They were running around like headless chickens. I knew they wouldn't give up easily, but there was an entire ocean between us. No matter how angry they were, they couldn't hurt me anymore. My new life was busy and fulfilling. I soon received my residency card. According to the rules, after living here for a certain number of years, Ben and I could apply for citizenship. The day I got my permanent residency, I took Ben out for a celebratory dinner. He held up his glass of juice and, with a serious expression, said to me, "Congratulations, Dad." I smiled and ruffled his hair. "Congratulations to you too, my little warrior." Our good life was just beginning. 6 months later, Ben successfully obtained his French passport. The cover was new and crisp. I took a picture of him holding it, smiling so wide his eyes narrowed. I set the photo as my WhatsApp profile picture. I knew that Elena would definitely see it. Sure enough, not long after, a video call came through. It was Elena. It was the first time I had answered her call since I left. When her face appeared on the screen, I was shocked. She had lost a lot of weight. Her eyes were sunken, her face thin. She looked exhausted and frustrated. "Mark, you finally decided to answer my call," she said, her voice rough. "What is it?" I asked, leaning back on the couch, my tone calm. She noticed my surroundings, the spacious, bright living room, the green lawn visible through the picture window. Her eyes narrowed. "Where are you? Someplace you'll never find." "You—" She looked like she was about to curse, but held it back. She had seen my new profile picture. "What's that in your profile picture? What is Ben holding?" "A passport," I said simply. "A passport? What passport? Is he going on a trip? Where are you taking him?" she asked quickly. I didn't say anything. I just called Ben over. "Ben, show Mommy your new passport." Ben was a little shy, but he obediently held the passport up to the camera, opening it to the page with his photo and name. "France," Ben said. Elena's eyes were glued to the screen, the color draining from her face. "France? A passport? What is this? Mark, what the hell is going on?" She finally broke down, screaming at the screen. "It's exactly what it looks like," I said. "Ben and I have emigrated." "Emigrated?" She looked as if she'd heard something impossible. "Impossible? How could you possibly emigrate? The money? Where did you get the money?" "I sold the apartment my parents bought me." "You—" She was so angry she couldn't speak. It took her a moment to force out the words. "How could you not wait for me? We agreed, didn't we? After Josh's college applications were done, I was going to get you residency. How could you not wait for me?" I laughed, a long, loud laugh. Wait for you? Elena, what was I supposed to wait for? For you to kindly give me a spot on the waiting list? Or for you to build a happy little family with Greg and his son, and then turn around and take pity on me and my son? That's not true. I have nothing to do with Greg, she argued desperately. Whether you do or not, you know the truth in your own heart. The moment you chose to gamble with my son's future for the sake of his son, you should have known this day would come. It was just temporary. Ben is still young. He could afford to wait, she repeated, still clinging to the same excuse. He couldn't afford to wait, and neither could I. Elena, you never once asked me what I wanted. You just made decisions for me. Well, now I've made a decision for myself and for my son. This is a betrayal. We're supposed to be a family. You promised we would always be together, she shrieked. A family? I stopped smiling. The moment you gave that residency sponsorship to Greg's son, this family was already broken. Mark, you come back here. You give me back my son, she screamed, slamming her hand on a table. That's impossible. I pulled Ben into my arms and said to the camera, Listen to me, Elena. From this day forward, I, Mark Johnson, and my son Ben Johnson have absolutely nothing to do with you or your family. You can go back to your ex-husband, and you can spend the rest of your life with that son of yours who shares none of your blood. With that, I hung up. And then I blocked her. The world was finally completely quiet. Elena's breakdown was just the beginning of her tragedy. After I blocked her, I never received another message from her. But my friend Dave back in the States kept me updated. The first bombshell was that the story of Elena giving the family sponsorship to her ex-husband's son had been leaked online. The whistleblower was a former co-worker of mine who had never liked Elena's actions. She put together screenshots of the official residency list, photos of me and Ben living in our tiny rental, and the pictures Greg had posted on his feed, and wrote a long, detailed post. In the article, she portrayed me as a long-suffering husband who sacrificed everything for his wife's career only to be betrayed. Elena was painted as a heartless woman who abandoned her own child for her ex-husband and stepson. This kind of drama immediately got people angry. The article went viral, and the comments section was filled with people cursing Elena out. Disgusting. She abandoned her own son to raise someone else's. Is this woman crazy? Isn't this just a classic user? She used her husband's family to get ahead, and then turned on them. That ex-husband Greg is no good either. He knew she was married and still went after her. What a scumbag. Someone find them. The scandal blew up, and even Elena's employer couldn't ignore it. The dream job, her security, was snatched away before she could even settle in. The company fired her, citing personal misconduct causing severe negative social impact. With her job gone, her residency status was revoked. When Dave told me this over the phone, he was laughing so hard he could barely breathe. You should have seen her, Mark. She looked like a stray dog. She went to her company to cause a scene, claiming she was framed, but the HR director just yelled at her and had her thrown out. Her ex, Greg, and his son, Josh, lost their residency status too. Because of the whole mess, Josh bombed his college entrance exams and only got into some third-rate college. Greg fights with Elena every day, blaming her for being useless. I listened quietly, feeling nothing. She brought it all on herself. If she hadn't been so selfish, so greedy, and had just honestly given the residency to me and Ben, she would still be successful. But she chose the stupidest path possible. Oh, and by the way, your ex-mother-in-law, Dave added, heard her daughter got fired and lost her residency, and the shock caused her to have a stroke. They saved her, but she's now paralyzed on one side and can barely speak. So now Elena has no job, no money, and has to take care of a paralyzed mother. She's completely overwhelmed. And Greg, seeing her downfall, wants nothing to do with her. They fight constantly about bills. I heard they're about to break up." "It's true what they say. When you're down, everyone kicks you," I sighed. "When she and her mother ganged up on me, they were so arrogant. Now karma has come for them." I looked out the window at the blue sky and just felt incredibly lucky. Thank God I got out when I did. The drama between Elena and Greg ended faster and more violently than I had imagined. After Elena was fired and her mother was paralyzed, Greg finally showed his true colors. He took what little money Elena had left and disappeared. Elena couldn't find him. She was left alone to care for her mother, surviving on odd jobs. Dave said she probably hated me. She told anyone who would listen that I was a terrible husband who stole all her money. But no one believed her anymore. To everyone, she was just a joke. Greg's fate, however, was even crazier. You know those 2 apartments he supposedly owned in his hometown? The ones Elena had helped him pay for? Well, shortly after he vanished, the truth came out. Those apartments weren't his at all. He had gotten them through a marriage scam with his supposed ex-wife. His ex-wife was actually just his mistress. The 2 of them ran a scheme where Greg would marry wealthy single women, find ways to transfer their assets to himself, and then divorce them. Josh wasn't his ex-wife's son. He was the son he had with his mistress. He had divorced Elena in the first place because he thought she was too poor. The only reason he came back to her this time was because his mistress had huge gambling debts and was running from loan sharks. He was desperate and thought of Elena as a reliable backup plan. He had planned to use Elena's residency and job to secure himself, wait for the trouble to pass, and then figure things out. Who knew my actions would cause Elena's downfall as well? The best part is his mistress owed a ton of money, and when the creditors couldn't find her, they found Greg. He sold the 2 apartments he scammed to pay off the debt, but it wasn't enough. Now guys are showing up at his door every day, splashing paint, writing threats. He's too scared to leave his house. Dave said his voice was full of joy. Then, out of desperation, he actually went back to find Elena. He lied to her, said Josh was sick and needed money for surgery. He wanted Elena to take him back and help him pay off his debts. I couldn't help but laugh. Those 2 were perfect for each other, a pair of idiots. "And then?" I asked. "And then Elena, who was already furious at losing everything because of you, had nowhere to vent her anger. She heard Greg's story, remembered how he'd stolen her money and run off, and she just exploded. They got into a huge fight. In the chaos, Greg grabbed a fruit knife and accidentally stabbed her. It wasn't fatal, but she bled a lot, and it was enough for an assault charge." Dave sighed. So now Greg is facing charges for assault, and on top of that, the old marriage scam case was reopened. He's probably going to be inside for a good few years. As for Elena, even though she's the victim, her reputation is ruined. No job, no family, her mom's an invalid, and she got stabbed. It's about as miserable as it gets. I listened quietly, my heart calm. I wasn't surprised by their downfall. One was selfish, the other greedy. People like them would have eventually ruined their own lives anyway. I just pressed the fast-forward button. "By the way," Dave said, "your ex-mother-in-law, now paralyzed and with no one to care for her, had someone get in touch with me. She wants to know if you, for Ben's sake, would be willing to send her some money for her retirement." I laughed. "Tell her Ben's last name is Johnson. He has nothing to do with her family anymore." "You got it." That's all I needed to hear. After hanging up, I walked out of the cafe. The evening sky was beautiful, painted with the colors of sunset. Ben's school was just around the corner. It was almost time for him to get out. I leaned against my car, watching the people come and go, a relaxed smile on my face. The cage that once trapped me had been broken by my own hands. The people who once hurt me had all received what they deserved. And I could finally take my child and breathe freely under the foreign sun, beginning our new life. In the distance, the school bell rang. A crowd of children in school uniforms poured out of the gates, laughing and shouting. I spotted my Ben right away. He was running at the front, backpack bouncing, and when he saw me, he waved his arms and came flying toward me. "Dad?" His voice was clear and happy. I opened my arms and caught him. "Did you have a good day at school?" "Yes," he said, burying his head in my chest and nodding. I took his hand and we walked toward our car. "Dad, what are we having for dinner tonight?" "Whatever you want." "I want your braised pork belly." "Okay, we'll make it as soon as we get home." Two figures, one large and one small, cast long shadows in the warm glow of the setting sun. Warm and steady,